Hey everyone. Well, I seem to be doing these video posts in themes. In other words, I sort of get on a track for a couple days at a time. And I seem to be on a Sadhguru track. Although, funny enough, what came through to talk about today was not. It's something that I heard him say on one of his videos ages ago, and I'm trying to figure out what the context of it even was. But there was just this nugget that stuck out to me, and I'm going to unpack it a little bit because there was something really just beautiful about the way he said it and what kind of came through for me afterwards. But so what he was talking about was, this was a post he was doing. I remember he was talking about the color of clothing, what the color of clothing does. Basically, what color clothing, and I'm wearing a new blue hoodie, as you can see, coincidentally, for the event. How the color of our clothing actually has an impact on the energy that we absorb and reflect and project. But he just said this kind of in passing, this thing about color, which then turned into, for me in my mind, it sort of like spiraled. I was like, oh, wow. So before I go on about it, I'll tell you what he said. He was talking about how a color, right, my new blue hoodie, looks blue to the human eye. But what's actually happening is all light is being absorbed except blue. That's what it is being reflected, which, so far so good. We've all learned this probably in school. What Sadhguru said was, it is the thing that the substance rejects that we see. So instead of saying this is blue, what we should say, or what we should understand anyway, is this is everything. It's all colors except blue. It's every other color it is able to absorb. Blue, it rejects. It reflects it back. It's the thing that it is unable to absorb. That's what we see. That's what every surface we've ever looked at is doing. And every color we've ever seen has been the frequency of light that surface cannot absorb, and so therefore it reflects. Now that to me was like, wow, because on some level we've known this, right? On some level we know, well, it's the light that bounces off, and that's the frequency that it looks like. But what I had never, because he used the word reject, I was like, oh, that's such an interesting way of looking at it. That's such an interesting, that's such an amazing, because that's so true on so many other levels. Our personality, our energy, our sensibilities, it made me immediately think, what are the energies that I reject? What are the energy frequencies that I'm unable to absorb? Right? Because you could, on some level, you could say my entire personality is constituted not of those things that I'm able to receive from the universe and integrate and fully absorb into my being, but it's a compendium of those things that I'm unable to receive and to absorb into myself. So if in spiritual practice, if what we're working towards is being essentially in an unbroken state of flow with the universe, an unbroken channel for consciousness to flow through, then it's going to be the aspects of consciousness that I reject that are the impediment there. But those are also the things that then become visible. These are if we think about like just people we know, whether we're looking at ourselves or people that we're close with or people that we're just acquainted with, isn't it the case? Isn't it always the things that someone rejects that characterize them? Isn't that like such a fundamental truth? Because things that people can accept and just effortlessly or they're just constituted or they've done the work to be able to integrate, to be able to absorb certain kinds of energy, certain kinds of information, certain emotions, right? Those things don't become prominent in our perception of those people because they're just, and this is why when I think about the great gurus in my life, the great teachers, they're like everything. They're like everything and nothing. There's this kind of like, Sadhguru has this energy. He just has this like, it's like there's a channel there. There's a full channel and everything is flowing through that channel. There's nothing being rejected or distorted. There's a personality. There is a kind of personality, but the personality, it's like the way I've heard this described by various teachers and thinkers, and is that the personality doesn't define the person anymore. There's for a while as we're working on ourselves and as we're doing this spiritual, as we're kind of like doing the work, people would say, well, our personality is who we are. That's our personality. Who are you? Well, you're your personality. What's this person like? Well, they're like, if you ask who's this person, we're going to describe their personality. But there's a level on which our personality is not who we are. Our personality is simply a filter for consciousness entering the world. And when in someone like a Sadhguru or some of the great teachers, and some of them have been my mentors, others have just been people I've been aware of, their personality is not what defines them. What defines them is this energy, this voluminous force of light that's coming through them. And their personality is like it's like this gauze that just gets draped over the top because of course, because we have to filter it somehow. The light we can't just, like, pure consciousness can't just beam into the world, or maybe it can, but in the form of human beings, it comes wrapped in a body and a mind and a cultural upbringing and whatnot. But on the deepest level, those things become very ephemeral, very light. The personality becomes a light aspect of the person. It's not a heavy aspect of the person. It's not their defining. It's not their core. We know it's not their core. We know we somehow just intuitively. I'm trying to kind of verbalize something that I've never really tried to verbalize before, but we're not seeing their personality. That's not what we're resonating with. We're resonating with something so far beyond that. And so in that arena, from that kind of vantage point, from everything I'm saying, this idea that it's what we reject that defines us feels so key. And I love the analogy with color. What a surface rejects defines its color. What we reject defines us. Isn't that amazing? That's an amazing thing to realize, because it's true. That's what we reject is where we encounter resistance. That's where resistance takes place. We can't accept something, so we reject. We go to war with a condition. We go to war with a situation. We go to war with another human being. Whatever we can't accept is going to define us. And that's a key lesson. That is a big, that's one. I'm clocking for myself right now what a key lesson that is in some of the just in my life, you know, where and how that realization is relevant to me, you know, and looking at some of my own circumstances and just how that plays into to the decisions that I make and to the way that I am in various circumstances. It's a big one. What we reject defines us, just like color, just like the visible spectrum of light. What a surface rejects defines its color. I don't know. Maybe that's not as mind-blowing for you as it is for me, but I love that idea. That to me is such a resonant image for the nature of reality and the nature of everything in reality. You know, it's very cool that we get this image. It's almost like we get this metaphor within the laws of physics that shows us that in a tangible way what's happening, but it's actually also a property. It's also a principle of every aspect of existence. It's not just isolated to that, you know, to the physical level. So that's what's coming through today, people. I hope you are as mind blown by this as I am. And yeah, very cool. I appreciate you so much. I hope you've all had a lovely pre-Thanksgiving day. All my love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.